All right, we're live.
We're
What
here.
up? What up, y'all? Welcome to another Wednesday pre-PT talk, chat, whatever you like to call it. You know how this goes. We're gonna share it out once it comes up on our individual Facebook pages. Then we'll get
Yes,
rolling.
sir.
Hey, there we
We'll
go. I
get
see it.
kicking. You
I
seeing
see
it?
it. Yep. So I'm gonna share this to pre-DPT students. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning guest, you know how this goes. Comment if you want a little shout out, because we can't see you unless you comment. So I'm gonna
This is
share.
true.
Here we go. Pre DPT. All right. So announcements before we get started. If you haven't heard already, we have some good news for you who are struggling with your PTCast essays. We're taking away that July 6th date and
Yep.
extending a small act of gratitude in exchange for a review on our Facebook page. So thank you to
hmm
everyone so much for helping us out and getting the word out to more students like yourself. And for future students, you have time to get it done. I know it's a stressful time. You might have other things going on. So, $20 is, $20. But we think this is much more beneficial to you and to us to reach more students. So yeah, pay
Definitely.
this pay this act forward, and tell your classmates, tell your colleagues if they need help to come our way.
That's it. That's it,
And
man.
I think that's it. I think that's all the little announcements I had.
And we'll have an announcement coming up either tomorrow or Friday. But Pre-PT Grind has grown a little bit. So yeah, Casey and I are the founders of it, but we have three new members of our core team, and so we'll be introducing them to y'all. But but we're pretty stoked about it. Just because
Yeah,
these are three young ladies that are already pretty passionate about serving the pre-PT community, and they've been doing a lot of things already on their own. And so after we talked, we figured that our approaches and our goals are in line with each other. So we teamed up with them. That's going to be a blast. But today's topics, we're going to try not to keep you guys too long, but we think today's topics are pretty important. And the reason being for that, pre-PT Grind, everything we try to do is to get people into physical therapy school. Correct, Casey?
that's right.
Right. And so not only do we want you guys to get into physical therapy school, we want you guys to leverage yourselves so that you can not only become the best, it's like we say, decide, prepare, transform. And we want you to not only become the best DPT, like pre-PT, DPT student, but also clinician after that. And so what we're going to talk about first today is getting into PT school, of course, which is what we always talk about, but hitting on staying in PT school and why
Mm,
that's important. So, keyword staying in
that's
physical
right.
therapy school, because you get in, it's a little different. It's a little different process, right? That you put into it when you're trying to get in, and then when you're like to be in the program is fantastic, but staying in is also key because there are people that start PT programs and do not complete them, and we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Make sure you guys are equipped for that, and then something that tags off of that is time management. We'll talk about that as well. Feel free to put your questions below. Comment with your questions. We'll hit them as we go. Let's get it.
All right. So getting into PT school. I mean, some of you are going through that now. Some of you have already gotten in. Congratulations for this fall. And for the people who've gotten in already, it may feel kind of like, oh, the weight's off my shoulders. I got in. That's all I had to do. But me personally, in my class, we had some people drop out of PT school because of grades or some other issues, and they couldn't keep up. They couldn't hold on. So
Mm,
it's a very real situation because you are taking someone else's spot, as we were talking about, pre live and on a podcast episode we just recorded. And that's a very real situation. Because in my case, there were some people in the class above me that dropped out, and I was super frustrated. I was like, that could have been my spot. I could have been a year ahead. And I was thinking to myself, so what made the faculty or whoever was interviewing me choose that person over myself? Like, why is there some reason they couldn't see what I had to offer, or was it just based off GPA, or was it something else? But in the long run, after I found out, and it was more than one person, so I was like, that could have been me. And for the future, and for the people listening, I don't want you to get in and drop out. That's horrible for you just initially, but for somebody else who's serious about PT and wants to go through the program, has the time management, has the organization, has the will to go forth with this, you're taking somebody's money, somebody's time, somebody's spot, you're basically just rerouting their future, kind of, because you weren't serious about this, or you couldn't keep up. So like, I know, I don't know if I make it look easy, but I know I talk about how I do a lot, but like, I still keep my priorities very clear on school, and everything else is just around that. What are your thoughts on that, Joseph?
I agree 100%. And we don't want this to sound like we're saying, hey, you have your ish together. If you don't, out of the way for the next person. But we want to both be fair to yourselves as well as those that are also pursuing the same thing. For those of you that are applying right now, you already know that there's a lot that goes into applying for physical therapy school. So you individually understand that it's a process. There are requirements, obviously, on PT, CAS, and whatnot that go into you becoming a physical therapist. There's grades that are you have to get. So it's work. It's not something that just falls in your lap. But just always remember that as hard as you're working, there's also other people working towards the same goal. And so our job as Pre-PT Grind, right? We want to clarify that first. Our job is to help you achieve that. So we're not saying, hey, come through, but we're not really going to help you get into PT school. Like, our goal is to actually guide you that direction if that is your passion, if that is your goal, if that is what you want to do. But on the other side is you have to be very intent about getting that position, and also being ready and knowing what to expect in order to stay in. Because what Casey is saying is right. There are a number of people that are on wait lists, right? And I have peers that were on wait lists that got in a week or two before we started. Some of the greatest future clinicians I know today. And so those are some brilliant minds that end up staying on site. So for example, let's say you get into a program and let's say 3-4 months in, you either decide it's not for you, or grades just get to the point where the department says, hey, you might not be able to make it, and you agree and you leave the program. Yes, you have identified that your career path might not be physical therapy, if that's the case. But now look what happens. I mean, in 3 months, there's no way for a program to replace that seat now, and that person being able to catch up. And so that's a seat that just goes. Someone that was on the wait list that could have been in the class, that wasn't. So we want to help you guys get in, but we also want to give you guys some tips, some perspectives. Like I said, like we always say, you guys can reach out to us, ask us specific questions if you are concerned and want to know a little more. But staying into physical therapy school is just as important as getting into physical therapy school. So I agree 100% with what you're saying, Casey.
Yes, and those of you going through the PT-CAS process right now, and you're asking, like, why do they want such a high GPA? Why do they want all this extracurricular stuff? Why do they want all this? Because the school loses money if you don't stay in the program. So they want to make sure they're investing in the right assets. Because if you're gone and they can't replace that seat, they just lost whatever, $10,000 a semester, or $7,000, whatever your tuition is, it's gone. So they're it's so hard because they're protecting themselves, their own money. So just remember that when you're struggling on your essays,
Yeah.
or you're complaining about how tedious this is, or why do I need so many volunteer hours? Like, they're trying to make sure you can handle it grades wise, you can
Hmm.
handle all the extracurricular volunteer stuff they have you do. If you go to, I don't know, a conference, can you hang on to that? Can you hang on to your grades or your tests? If you have a test the next day, can you come back and perform well? What's going to happen? First year, second year, third year. It's a
Hmm.
long time. It's a long
Mm.
time. Can you keep it up? Like, I think from Joseph's class, like, we have a board when on our first day. I think one of your classmates put on there, like, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Ooh,
Now, when I
say that
read that,
again. Say that again, brother.
they're like, PT school is a marathon, it's not a
E-
sprint.
Exactly.
And that's a sprinter. Calvin Randolph, I think he's on here. Um, but when I read that, I was like, oh crap. All right then. And it told you to class of 2017, to whoever put that on there on that board.
Say that one more
It
time,
helped.
Casey. It kind of went out.
I said thank you to the class of 2017, to whoever put that on the board.
Hey, I'll take the
It helped.
credit. I didn't even do it, but I'll take the credit.
Yeah, it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot.
Definitely. And so, what we're going to talk about is we're going to first of all talk about some of the reasons that some individuals don't make it through a PT program. And sometimes it is out of control of the student. And so, this, like I said, this is not to disrespect anyone that has not survived a PT program, because, like many other things, it is a hurdle. It does require a lot. And there are scenarios where students don't make it through a program because of health reasons, like
True.
family trauma. And if that happens, usually most programs, if they have hearts, most programs will work with you. They
Mm,
will find a way to bring you on with the next class, or I mean, they'll figure it out. So like Casey and R's program does just that. If someone wasn't able to kind of make it through because of something that was uncontrollable, let's say they've already finished 1 year or 2 years in, they would take a year off and come in where they left off with the class that follows the one that they were presently in. And so programs will work on that. But now what we want to avoid is not staying in a program because of other reasons. And some of the biggest reasons why people don't make it through program is, one, they're overwhelmed.
mm,
The first thing we were told when Casey and I were about to start PT school by our advisor is that PT school is like a fire hydrant. So you're in high school and it's like you're drinking out of a straw. That's the analogy we were given. You're in college, it's like a hose, right? So now, like a hose where you can't really get all the water coming out, but you're getting a pretty decent chunk of it. You get to PT
right.
school, it's a fire hydrant just being, pointed at your face, all the water full beaming. And so at that point, you kind of have to pick and choose what you take, right? And so
Right.
so that's why that's one reason why certain people don't make it. We have the fact that it's also sometimes more challenging than maybe expected. As you are choosing to go into physical therapy, don't go in with the assumption that it is the easier option. I've
Mm.
heard that a
Say it
lot.
again. Say it again.
Don't go in with the assumption that it is an easier option. I've heard that too many times where someone will go for a different. Okay, the most common one is medical school. No hate. I have a lot of good friends in med school and whatnot, but I know a number of people that say, well, I'll go to PT because it's an easy degree. I'll finish that up, put it behind my head, and just keep going. But physical therapy school is not a joke, y'all. But that's the thing. Like, if you're passionate about it, it isn't that big of a problem. Like, I'm thinking about some of the hardest projects. I mean, think about like constructing a fence, right? If someone had a passion for building things with their hands, I mean, you take that to someone that has no idea about how to hold a hammer, how to sand anything, doesn't know what sandpaper is, could care less about being outside. To them, that would be torture. But someone who likes working with their hands, that's amazing, right? And so for you, like, that's why doing more work on the front end where you're researching about it, talking to people, finding us, like asking us questions, like, we're students going through it right now. Like, we remember what it was like to be pre-PT students. Like, we get it, y'all. Like, shoot, the struggles, if we didn't experience it, one of our classmates did or one of our friends did. So we always know who to go to. But at the end of the day, it is a challenging process. Like it is hard. Like it's not a joke. It's hard. But if you are passionate about people, if you are passionate about becoming a physical therapist after knowing everything, that alone can help push you through the hurdle of something being challenging. And heck, just being challenging means that sometimes it just takes more time, right? So for example, something like chemistry may be challenging to me, and it literally might not like sink in my brain, but that's why I wasn't a chemist, right? But then something like anatomy may have been challenging, but I enjoyed it. So I spent more time on it and I finally got it. Or I looked for the right people to help me through that process. Another reason people drop out is bad grades. And we'll talk a little about that. There's burnout. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Like these are real reasons why people don't make it through PT school. But like I said, we'll help you guys with all that. And then the feeling of isolation. Right. And then lastly, a conflict of whose career goal it is. This is not something that's only in PT. This happens with other careers where there's sometimes an external pressure, sometimes from family members, friends, peers, pressure to achieve that goal, but it's not really yours. And like I was saying before, with it being a challenging program, believe it or not, with it being a challenging program, you want it to be your goal. You want it to be something you're driven by. Some of the closest people to me know that there was times during PT school where I felt like, yo, can I really finish this? And it had to be like, what were my goals? Like, why did I get in here? That's what really pushed me. And ultimately, did just fine. You know what I mean? And so those are some of the biggest reasons. So Casey, before we continue, what are your thoughts about all those?
Well, just backing up a little bit, you were talking about how PT schools can be very gracious if there's health issues. Because, for example, we have one of our students who went through that at like the worst time possible. Like it was a point where we take this big practical test called the OSCEs, and it just wasn't the right time for these health issues. But our class, our chair was very gracious. The faculty was very gracious, and they're extending another option to her. So don't be scared if something happens. They, like most schools, are very understanding to things like that. And also another point I missed earlier was that people can get called very late. For instance, in my class, there was a student who got called a day before opening and a week after. And PT school doesn't feel right, let them know as soon. How's my internet? Am I still good?
You're back. You're good.
Yeah, if you're not sure about this and this is not what you want to do, let the school know as early as possible. But on the topics of grades and burnout, isolation, burnout is kind of a hot topic in the professional world, but in my opinion, it's still very real in school. I mean, I don't know so much now, but a couple months ago or a couple months before that, I feel I was burnt out, man. Like so many tests, so many assignments, so many outside things, just hard to keep track of, pressure to get good grades in those tests and assignments. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. I was definitely feeling the pressure, definitely not feeling motivated, inspired. So it's real. And ways to combat that are, take a break. If you miss 5 questions on a test, it's not that big a deal. What's the saying? The first and the last people are still called doctor who graduate.
Say one more time.
The first person to graduate and the last person to graduate are still called doctor of physical therapy. So
exactly.
Hey, don't sacrifice 5 points on a test for your health, for your stress levels. That's what we're supposed to be educating patients on. So practice what you preach, because in the future, patients can see that. You're just telling me something to do that you're not even doing yourself. Wow, why should I do it? So start now. Take your health seriously. Prioritize things outside of school as well. Isolation, that's a real one. Not myself personally, but there was an experience of, I can think of two classmates, or maybe three. Our class is pretty close. We're pretty friendly and all that stuff, and we were trying to reach out, especially like the officers, like the presidents and the like academic coordinators, what we call it, trying to reach out and find this person who was struggling because we go by aliases on our grade sheet, and that person wasn't really like responding to the help, maybe because out of embarrassment or something like that. They didn't want to be seen as failing. They didn't want to
Mm.
want to be called out as that classmate who's not doing well, that classmate who's not smart, and they're no longer here. So I mean, swallow that pill, be humble, like Kendrick Lamar says, and
Hey.
and get some help, man. Get some help. It doesn't have to be the whole class. You can find just one person. You can find outside help, but look for something, because this is money. This is your time. This is your future. This is somebody else's spot, like we said earlier. So get help when it comes to grades, burnout, and isolation, and that's part of the reason why we're here.
Mhm.
Why we're here as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, that shouldn't be something you're embarrassed about. And I get it. When you get into a program like a PT program, most people are used to, during their undergrads. I mean, like a chunk of people are used to being on top of their classes. Being maybe one of the top, students, the one that maybe people are coming to for help on classes or whatever. But it's a different ball game, and so it shouldn't be something you're embarrassed about. What Casey said is probably one of the like most truthful statements I heard when I started physical therapy school, that kept me focused, to where when my grades were a little lower or a little higher, or when I was struggling, I was willing to reach out for help, because like at the end of the day, whoever's at the top of the class and whoever's at the bottom of the class is still graduating, right?
Yeah.
And so you're obviously you have to pass, right? So there's cutoffs for passing, but whoever's at the bottom of the passing, which is, I mean, the whole class is going to make it. Whoever's at the top and whoever's at the bottom is going to be a doctor of physical therapy. We touched on this before, where as a class, like creating the culture of helping each other out. And if you're the only person that has that, like start distributing that mindset to your peers,
Mhm.
where it becomes commonplace to assist each other out. That could be someone opening up a Google Docs. Oh, you're the fastest note taker in this class? Cool. Let's do like three of y'all. Same Google Docs for the class. All of y'all. During lectures, y'all are taking notes. Everyone else takes notes as well, but there's someone that gets everything. And amongst those 2, 3 people, they then distribute it to the class, because, like I said, like Casey was saying, top of the class, bottom of the class, still a doctorate. Correct?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there are ways around that. So do not be afraid to ask for help. Faculty members, peers. Heck, my mom once told me, wherever I go to school, every professor that I ever had should know me well. And they
Mm.
don't know you well just because you get in good grades and you're, staying to yourself. Like, should know me well, like, where, if I don't understand something, I'm scheduling an appointment. I'm coming to their office. I'm getting to, like, when I graduate, like, because my last name's kind of hard to pronounce for a lot of people, they should all know how to pronounce it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how well they should know me. You know what I mean? And so, but it's a good thing to live by. Where faculty, peers, developing that culture, assisting each other, and I think this also transitions to our next topic of time management, because I think time management is key for everything. Like we said, it's like a fire hydrant. So out of nowhere, now you're saying, like, how the heck do I balance everything out? It is different from high school. It is different from how you managed it in undergraduate. Time management skills you learn in school will help you
It
in
might
work.
cut
Time
off
management
again.
skills need to be good PT, dedication is passion. Exactly. Time management skills are golden, right? You learn that now, there's nothing you can't do. If you want to open your own business, you have to. If you want to start working and still do what you enjoy, take it this way. If you want to do what you enjoy and still succeed, think about it that way. time management becomes crucial. Otherwise, you end up doing what you don't want to do 24/7 instead of compartmentalizing and using the like finishing everything you may not want to do so you can have a bunch of time to do what you want to do, what you want to invest your time in. And so, Casey, segment us into time management.
Yeah, so look, we kind of touched on this last week a little bit with the vase, and you put the rocks in, the important things in first, then you fill in the sand with all the things you want to do. Like that's real. Like I'm not trying to make this complicated at all. You just got to get done what you got to get done. And one of my favorite morning lives from Greg Todd was he mentioned this. I think it's a book called Eat That Frog, and at the time,
Hey.
yeah, at the time, this was a few months ago, like I talked about, and we just had those classes were no joke, man. It was assignment after assignment, test after test, no breaks. Um, and I was like, man, I just want to work on my business stuff. I just want to work on my, my little blog. I just want to help people in this area or do that. But like, I had a peds test, I had a cardio poem test, ortho two, and like that came at the right moment because I was like, all right. Guess I just got to suck it up and eat that frog and just do like what I have to do. Because like if I don't make it past this semester, there will be no blog, there will be no pre-PT grind, there will be no. I can't be selfish to my future patients to not do what I have to do.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
That makes sense.
Repeat that. Repeat that.
I can't be selfish to all the pre-PTs counting on me to get past PT school, to get past this semester, to do well on my clinicals, and I owe it to my future patients because somebody's waiting on me out there. Like I can't be selfish and do a disservice to my future family. My family now, like me, my immediate family, sister, brother, and stuff. Like I can't let them down just because like I don't feel like studying, or I don't feel like whatever you got to do. Clean up, exercise. Even take breaks to be accountable to yourself to take breaks and put your health first. What else? Study for the GRE, like all these different things. Like you just have to swallow the pill and do what you got to do because you're gonna have to do that as a clinician. There are gonna be bad bosses, documentation, other things that you just don't want to do. And like that's a part, and there's an essay right now, right? The PTCast essay, how to be professional as a DPG student. Part of being a professional is getting done what you got to get done, and that's part of time management. Once you have that thing done, your whole day is free to do whatever you want. And a lot of people ask me, like Casey, how do you get so much done? How are you doing all this stuff? And like I really don't know. I just get
It's like
I just
who
I
knows?
just get done what I need to get done. And another thing is like part of my leisure time, like after I'm done studying, part of the leisure time is like me working on like Alive Now, this stuff or some other projects I'm working on. That's part of it too. But I can't, like I said before, I can't do that if I don't get done what I need to get done. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
time management. Get it done. That's all I
Exactly.
gotta say.
Yeah, man. And so some of the key things with time management, Casey touched on some of them is I mean, you have to prioritize. So like Casey was saying, this does tie in with what we did in our live last week. But priorities set everything up. And so you prioritize first the things that have to get done, like Casey was saying. Do those things earlier. It could be what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And so for me, I used to study in the mornings. And so I set a certain time, woke up in the morning and I studied because I was fresh. Sometimes in the evenings, well, I had to a lot of times, but my most efficient time was in the morning. So that could also, if you're like that, if you're more efficient in the mornings and then in the evenings, you're kind of sort of efficient, then like segment your things accordingly. Like the things you may need more focus on, put in the mornings. The things that are more busy work, put in the evenings. And if it's the opposite, do the exact opposite and you will be efficient with your time. Say no to what is not vital at the moment. I believe 100% in saying yes to opportunities because I feel like so many of the things we avoid end up becoming some of the greatest opportunities we would have ever had in our academic life or in our careers, period. So I believe in saying yes to opportunities, but when it comes to time management, you have to learn to say no to what is not vital at the moment. And I think that's why Casey was saying, like, he becomes so efficient. I mean, we both become so efficient with what we have to do because we know when to say no. Like last night, I texted Casey. I was like, Casey, I know we're working on this project or whatever. I've hit my cap for what I can like fit in for today. You mind taking over? Here's it. Right? Like, and obviously having team members and a partner to help you on your projects and whatnot allows you to do that. But that's what I had to do. That's what Casey has to do as well. Sleep. Y'all gotta sleep, man. If you're not if you're not rested, like you're not gonna be able to be efficient with your time anyways. You're gonna spend half the day trying to figure out when you're gonna get back to your bed and not do what you have to do. So sleep. If that's 7 to 8 hours, it is possible to do that in PT school. I didn't realize that till like halfway through because I was not managed. I know what it feels like to not be able to manage your time and balance your time. But sleep. Start your day out correctly. Have a morning routine. Something you do every single morning that gets you going. If the first thing you do is like 30 push-ups, go catch a shower or whatnot. If it's getting up, taking a jog outside, coming in, like getting ready, eating your food, then like do the same, like have a morning routine because that gets your mind right. That gets you focused. If it works, it works. And so have a morning routine, like having specific times when you do things. If you're going to study, you say, all right, I'm going to study for the next 45 minutes. Have a timer. Everyone has a smartphone. Use that. If not, use something that's louder. Have something that gives you a time where you know, okay, I'm done. Let me go for a jog. Let me eat. Let me hang out with my friends for the next hour, hour and a half. So you segment your time for everything, but always put the most important things first in those time slots. But then the reason why that's important is it keeps you efficient, it keeps you focused, but two, it also allows you to segment times to actually take breaks. Because now if you say, I'm just going to study tonight, and now you're sitting looking at a book for 4.5 hours, you really only use like an hour and 20 minutes of that time efficiently, and you've wasted the rest of it. Whereas you could have like studied an hour solid, gotten the same out of it, and done so much more with your other 3 hours. Or you could have taken a break, then come back to the study and even accomplished a lot more. So having a timer that gives you specific time frames to do everything is key. A checklist. This is the one that allowed me to like
my favorite.
To win, bro. Having a checklist, something you write down. It could be in your phone where you type it out. It could be in your computer. Whatever you look at most frequently. It could be something pinned to your mirror in your room. But having a checklist is a brilliant way to navigate around that. Exercise, we already said, is key. And then also last one for me is finding locations where you can be efficient. I quickly found out that there are certain places I just can't focus. That could be for you. That could be at home where there's distractors. That could be in your school where there's a lot of things going on and people may come to you for questions. Like your go-to place may be a cafe, right? If you go to Starbucks and that's where you get your grind on, shoot, that's it. If for you it's a library, if for you it's your room, like find that place. But know that when you get to that space, and I would even say, like, if you have a space that you use for nothing more than being efficient, the better. If your mind associates it with getting focused and ready to go, whether it's studying, whether it's a project, it does not matter. Your body will also learn to adjust to that too, because you're not using it for social reasons. So figure that out. Whatever that place is, find a place. You can start finding it as soon as you start PT school. You can start it now, but know what type of environment fits you. I know people that can read a book in the middle of a street. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if there's cars honking or whatever. They don't even have to like headphones in. Like they're focused. I can't do that. I need somewhere where I have less distractions. And so identify that for you, and you guys will be more efficient. But time management is big. And it ties very heavily with staying in physical therapy school, because not everyone is able to internalize everything like that. Not everyone is able to do things like a robot and just like have no concerns for it. We're human. But as we journey towards now your goal of getting into physical therapy school and also being a physical therapist after that, and even if you're not in physical therapy and you're watching, these are tips that are really beneficial to a lot of successful students. And that's what we want you all to be. We want you all to be not only successful people, students, clinicians in the future, but just all around, very well rounded. And I think these are tools that could contribute to that.
Yeah, a few closing points. Gary Vee says this a lot. It's not about how much sleep you get, but it's about what you do when you're awake. And Joseph says this a lot when we talked about, community and family and PT school. Like once you get in, the competition is over. So don't be afraid to help somebody else who's struggling. They're not going to take your spot anymore. Like you're in, you're good. And those are just the summarizing points that I had here. We're about at 33 or 4 minutes or so. But yeah. Again, announcements.
Yep.
That July 6th deadline. Don't worry about it. We got you. We're calling it the PTCast SA Pay It Forward Exchange. Like we want to help as many people like you as possible. But in order to do that, we're only 2 people, and we have some announcements coming up later this week about that. But like we need your help. And since we're doing this act of kindness for you, we're just asking that you do the same for your fellow classmates, because there's somebody out there in your same situation who doesn't know about us yet, and they're probably doing worse than you, or maybe better. You never know, but like they could benefit. Help us pay this act of kindness forward. Just we're asking an exchange instead of monetary. Just throw us a review on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com. /the pre-PT grind. I'll put it in the comments below, and help us reach more people. Pay it forward.
Yep. And lastly, don't forget to see our newest podcast episode. It is a double episode, which is the first double episode that we have done. That's just how much content we had in that episode. It was fired up. For those of you taking an exam anytime soon, a standardized exam, that could be anywhere from the GRE to the the NPTE, so the physical therapy board exam. We hit all of that, and there's some good stuff in there.
2-part episode.
Be sure to catch the 2-part episode, y'all. But thank you guys for this live. Anyone listening, if you guys have any more questions, things that you want us to hit in these lives, comment below, reach out to us, ask us specifically. We would love to hit like hard topics, things that are extremely challenging that you guys want to address as pre-PT students and as future physical therapy students and clinicians. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this pre-PT chat talk. We look forward to seeing y'all next week.
All right. Almost next week.